Okay, so now we're at 5.1.1. We introduced binary numbers to you to the next and the previous video. And so hopefully this is kind of helping you to visualize how Booleans work and how you're going to use them in the future as well. So now let's go back to the curriculum. So 5.1.1 Boolean values. The JavaScript data type for storing true and false values is Boolean, named after the British mathematician George Boole. Fun fact, George Boole created Boolean algorithm or algebra, which is the basis of all modern computer arithmetic. Now, when I first got into programming, started teaching myself, a lot of this stuff went over my head. But over time, as I kept on picking at it, learning and not giving up and pressing through it and being committed, I began to understand it more. One day I decided to find out more about this George Boole, seeing that he's being credited as being the father of modern day computing. Now, there's a couple of books here. I've read this book, well, this is a good book, like George Boole, and this one is The Life and Work of George Boole, which is a good book. You can get it on Amazon, and The Studies in Logic and Probability. Now, like I said in the last video, when I introduced binary numbers to you and helping you understand that a binary number is a bit, and a bit is basically a switch, and that switch has two elements. It has a state and it has a value. The 0 is off and false, and 1 is true and on. Now, George Boole, it seems so simple. It's either true or false, but yet it is so dynamic and so powerful when you really think about it. So that's a good read, and kind of read up on how his mindset came up with this logic, and it went unnoticed for years until like the late 1800s, 1900s, when other mathematicians started picking up on his algebra. But it wasn't till later on to when someone picked up the book and realized that we can make computing with this. We can use the same algebra and logic to create all these different electronics and these devices, and it all comes together once you understand the algebra, understand how the algorithm is written. And down the road, I'm going to introduce a little bit here and there on data structures. It's definitely one of the things you're going to want to learn and understand eventually, because it's really beautiful when you think about how data structures work and how to solve complex problems. But more on that later. But so back to the curriculum. There are only two Boolean values, true and false. JavaScript is case sensitive. So the capital letter with the capital letter T in true and the capital F in false are not valid Boolean values. So what we mean, case sensitive, these are keywords. True and false, they have to be all lowercase in order for it to be a Boolean. If you make it a capital T or a capital F, it's not a Boolean. It's something totally different. So here's an example. We have console.log, and we put true inside of it, and then we console.log type of true, then we console.log type of false. And then we see that true, all console.log does is print to the console. That's all it does. It prints to the console. And so we're printing to the console true and a false, true and a Boolean. Now, the values true and false are not strings. If you use quotes to surround Booleans like this right here with this example, true within quotes and false within quotes, those values become strings. Example, console.log type of true, console.log type of true with strings. One is a Boolean, one is a string. Notice you do not put quotes around true or false. The compiler knows that it's a Boolean without the quotes. But if you add quotes to it, when the compiler reads it, it sees those quotes and it automatically thinks string. Right. So think like the compiler. Whenever you see quotes, you think strings. When you see brackets, you think angle. When you see square brackets, you think arrays. When you see curly braces, you think objects. These are your cues, or clues rather. Console.log, it tells you Boolean and string. So now, what have we learned so far? Up until this point, we're now learning, if we go back over and recap a little bit, the Boolean values are true and false. When we go back to our binary code, our binary numbers, we know that 0 is false, 1 is true. Those values mean something, and we'll talk about it later. Now, we come to the point where we're getting ready to go to the next part of this section. So remember, the more you practice, the more you improve. All right, see you in the next video.